Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make the cinnamon rolls for Javaccino. And this is a very, very important recipe because everybody loves our Javaccino cinnamon rolls, and we do make them in bulk. So what that means is you're going to be using the big kitchen mixer and you're going to be measuring large amounts of ingredients. So typically how we would set this up is one group or one class will mise en place. Okay, so if you are assigned the Javaccino cinnamon rolls for mise en place, your job is to measure everything. So you'll be measuring the flour, you'll be measuring the sugar, and what we would like you to do is label everything. So I just wrote sugar, but you're gonna write sugar, the amount for cinnamon rolls, and then you'll put them in a hotel pan or wherever your teacher designates you to, just so then whoever is actually making the cinnamon rolls is not confused, like, did they measure the salt, or we know everything is there. All right, so if you recall, mise en place is organizing everything and getting it ready so that whoever's doing the techniques can just do it. Make sure you're really being organized in that. All right, now all my mise en place is done. Now another group, or maybe the next day, your same group that measured is going to make the dough. All right, so let's talk about how we make the dough. Typically you're gonna do this with a group of people, and there are a lot of tasks that need to be done at the same time. So I'm gonna demonstrate multiple tasks at the same time. So the first thing that needs to be done is we need to heat your milk. So the recipe calls for warm scalded milk. So cinnamon rolls is a yeast dough, so we have to activate yeast, which requires us to have warm milk. So we also need melted butter. So in my stock pot, because it's a large amount, a lot of times students will get like a little saucepan, calls for 48 ounces of milk. It's a lot, you need to heat it. You need a stock pot, it's just easier. Then you're gonna add 2 pounds of butter. So when we measure the butter, this is equivalent to a pound. Instead of putting this whole block in here, it's gonna take longer to melt. We like to just cut it up. It doesn't matter how you cut it. It's just smaller pieces are better because then they'll melt way faster. All right, so just like so. And then you're just gonna put it in here. So 2 pounds of butter right into your milk, and then I'm going to heat it. Now you could do this on an induction burner, but it's gonna take longer. So my suggestion is you go on the range and you heat it just until the butter is melted, and we'll be back. All right, so my partner is melting my butter and my milk. Now I'm gonna activate my yeast. Now this is the most important part, because if your yeast is not activated accurately, the whole recipe is ruined, right? That's why mise en place is so important. So we do have a whole unit later on in Pastry Chef about yeast, and you'll learn all about it. But this is called active dry yeast, and yeast is really easy to work with when you understand how it comes alive. So we want this to come alive. So to create a good environment to activate this, you want warm water. And when I say warm, it's warm to the touch. Like, it's supposed to be about 110 degrees, so you could use a thermometer. You could also just use warm water from the sink. Make sure it's warm. If it's too hot, it will kill the yeast. If it's too cold, it will just take longer to activate. So I have 48 ounces of warm water, and I'm gonna pour it right in to my bowl. And then I added 124 grams of my yeast, and then I need to feed my yeast. So food for the yeast is sugar. It could be granulated sugar. That's what this recipe calls for, but you might see substitutes. In other recipes, you might see honey or syrup, powdered sugar, etc. So we are gonna feed our yeast with 28 grams of sugar. Now, in this, there's gonna be 2. So there's this small thing of sugar, and I labeled it sugar to feed yeast. This other part of sugar goes in the dough. So don't be confused. There's 2 amounts of sugar, they're separate. One feeds the yeast and one is just for sweetening the dough. So now I'm gonna take my wire whisk, and notice I have a big bowl, and I'm gonna just dissolve this into my warm water. And now you need to let it sit and activate, okay? While this is happening, we're just gonna set this off to the side. Now I'm going to get my other ingredients organized and ready. So someone already measured for me. I need 15 pounds of flour. So you're not gonna have probably these bags. For the purpose of this demo, I just ordered these. But someone's gonna have like big baggies full of pre-measured flour for you. I have my sugar, I have my salt. What I did not get together is my eggs. So I need to get together 12 eggs. So all I'm going to do is I am going to beat them like this. into a bowl. Now you might have them broken for you, or if the last class didn't have time, this is something you might have to do. So it's really important that, like, even though someone organized for you, you're just double checking and reading through everything as you go. And we will be back. All right, we are back. So if you want to take a look at this is all completely melted, and it's good to go. So here's the thing, if I add this directly to the yeast, it's gonna kill it. Remember we talked about how important temperature is, and if I put the eggs directly in there, they're gonna scramble. So you wanna kind of slowly cool this down. There's a couple different ways you can do this. I like to put this in the mixer, start mixing it, and then I'm gonna add my sugar and my salt, okay? So using this large mixer is a little intimidating at first, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. So there are different attachments you can use. You can use the paddle, which we don't typically use for yeast bread, but then we have this called the dough hook, and this goes up and down like so. This moves this up and down like so. This locks the bowl in place. So I'm gonna unlock it just so you can see. Okay, so there's this little knob here. The knob inserts right inside, and you might not have the exact mixer that you're using, but they all operate pretty similarly. So this little knob goes in there first, lock this in place, and then this goes right here, upward, like so, okay? I'm keeping it down for now. Now, make sure when you touch this that it's not super hot. I'm gonna pour my milk butter mixture into here. Okay, and then I am going to turn this down. Put this like so. When I turn this on, I like to put towels around it. I don't have a ton of towels right now, but I'm gonna put this here. And the reason I like to do this is just so nothing falls into, spills outward. And then this will not work unless there's time. And then I'm gonna press start. We're gonna start at 100. This controls the speed. So I'm just gonna start cooling it down and we'll be right back. All right, so I've been cooling it down. It's still super hot. So to help the cooling process, I am going to pour all of the sugar. Remember, there's 2 amounts. The small amount feeds these. The other amount is for the dough. And then I'm also gonna add in our salt. So the salt is gonna control the growth of the yeast. So it's important that we don't forget that, okay? And then I'm going to continue mixing that. I'm gonna grab our eggs, okay? So we're going to incorporate our eggs into here slowly. So if I do it all at once, I can put, like I said, potentially scramble the eggs. So if I do it slowly, it's cooling down that liquid. Okay. I haven't added my yeast yet. I like to wait for the yeast just because, again, if this is too hot, it will just kill the yeast immediately. So what I like to do is I'm gonna add a little bit of the flour and then I'm gonna add the yeast. So I'm just gonna start with just a little of it. I would say out of the 15 pounds, I would just get like 1 cup and add it on in. It doesn't need to be exact, it's just to start cooling this down. All right, now when I feel it, it's warm to the touch. It's not like, oh, it's hot. So at this point now, I'm going to add my yeast. So you can see the yeast is activated really well. I'm gonna stop it, I'm gonna dump it all in there, and then we'll be back. All right, so I've added in my yeast, so now I'm definitely gonna stop it, and I'm gonna add in the rest of this 5 pounds of flour, okay? And then I am going to take my towels, and I'm going to, this is very important because it will literally spill everywhere. So I like to put, you could even put a clean apron on it, just like so. I'm gonna start it. And then I got my other 2 bags that I'm gonna be adding. You don't add it all at once, do a little at a time. Not a cup at a time, I would say like, you know, like 1 bag at a time or half a bag at a time. I will show you what it looks like once all the flour has been incorporated. All right, so we are back. So I've incorporated all the flour, and you can see that it's still kind of wet. It needs to knead. So there's a lot of flour in here, obviously, and flour is gluten. So we want to strengthen that gluten. So to do that, I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes, and I'm gonna let it mix. Essentially what's gonna happen is it's gonna, I like to use the term clean the bowl. It's gonna literally, all of that sticky dough is gonna come together. It's gonna be nice and smooth, and it's gonna clean the sides of the bowl. So I'll show you what that looks like when we are done. All right, so the dough is done. If you wanna take a look, this is what I mean by cleaning the bowl. Do you see how there's nothing sticking to it? So it looks like the bowl is clean. So now we're gonna stop it. I'm gonna take this out like this. Okay, lift it up. Lift this up. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring it over to my table. Okay, and I am going to cut this into 6 pieces. Okay, make them as equal as you can. So over here, I have hotel pans, just half hotel pans. It does not need to be a hotel pan. You can grease 6 bowls. This is something a partner will need to do when this is all being made. You're cleaning all of your dishes, you're greasing your bowls, getting this all ready. So now I'm gonna take my dough out on my tabletop, like so. Okay, nice and clean. So someone's gonna go clean this, okay? Do not just sit and watch your group, all right? Or you'll get in big trouble. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're gonna flatten this out. And again, you're gonna take a knife, and we're cutting this into 6 pieces. Now, we would like this to be as equal as possible, but we are in the virtue of time, so just try your best, all right? If you have a lot of time, then obviously weigh them. That would be the most accurate, but just do whatever your teacher tells you. For the purpose of this, I'm just cutting them into 6 pieces, okay? So I did 2, and then I'm gonna take each of these and do 3. And then, okay, if one's a little bit bigger, obviously you can change that, but the idea here is now we have to let this rise. So what you're gonna do, we put the grease in the bottom, all right? And then we're gonna set this in here, flip it over, and then we're gonna press it down, and we're gonna let this rise for about an hour, all right? Or you can do what's called the cool rise method. So if you do an hour, then it's going to rise, and maybe another period later today will shape them. If we don't have another period, we're gonna put this in the refrigerator. You'll cover this with plastic wrap, let it cool rise overnight, and then you'll shape these tomorrow. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so either you or somebody else will do this depending on how the breakdown of jobs works. We need to get the filling ready. So because we have 6 of these batches that we are making, you are gonna pre-measure 6 batches of filling. So in each bag, this is filling number 1. I have combined, there is sugar that is for the pan. So I put sugar for pan, and it tells you this in your recipe. And then you're gonna combine a second amount of sugar with cinnamon. You'll combine those together, and this is for the dough. This is like what goes in between, making that deliciousness in between the dough. Then you have 2 measurements of butter. One is for the pan. So this gets melted and goes in the pan, which I'll demonstrate to you. Sugar goes on top of it. And then this butter goes on the rolled up dough, and this goes on top of it. So you're gonna get all of that ready. So your 4 little baggies, put it together, and we'll call that number 1. And you're gonna repeat this 5 more times, so we have 6 total. All right, so we are back, and now I'm gonna show you how to roll out your batch of cinnamon roll dough. So first thing I'm gonna do is get my pan ready. So we are gonna be using these full-size hotel pans, and we have 6 groups that will be doing this because we have 6 batches. So each group is going to get a batch of dough that has risen, and then you will have your baggie of your prepped filling. You have to melt the butter and whatnot. So we're gonna first prep the pan. So I'm gonna take a piece of parchment paper, a full piece of parchment paper. I'm gonna take my 1 stick of butter and melted it in the microwave. And I am going to put that right here, like so. And then I'm going to take my pastry brush, and I'm just going to kind of spread out my sugar. So this will add flavor to the bottom, making a nice crusty, sweet edge for your cinnamon rolls. And then we put the parchment paper for easy cleanup. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my sugar that's measured for my pan, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it around, like so. And then I'm just gonna kind of spread that out again. Okay. So that I'm gonna set off to the side. Next, I'm going to melt my second batch of butter that I'm going to put on my dough. I'm gonna melt it in the microwave for 30 seconds, and I'm gonna roll out my dough. So I'll show you what that looks like. We'll be right. All right, so I've taken my dough out. I do not reheat and do not get flour. All you're gonna do is dump it out and then start pressing it out. And it should be at room temp, okay? And you want it to be about the size of a piece of parchment paper. So I'm going to take my rolling pin, I'm gonna roll it out just like so, and you're kind of gonna use your hands to help keep it as a rectangle as much as you possibly can, okay? Think of it like, I know it sounds weird, but think of it like skin, like a nice skin that you can press, and it should be able to be stretched, okay? If you accidentally, it breaks, just kind of press it back together, okay? So we are good. Now I'm gonna take my butter, you're using all of the butter, and you are going to press it and spread it right all over. Now you can do this with your hands. Notice I took my rings off, my watch, I took it off when I'm doing this for no cross-contamination. You can wear gloves when you do this, but sometimes it hinders everything, and this is going to be baked. So it's not going to all of that on, and then now I'm gonna take my cinnamon and sugar mixture, and you're using all of it. I know it seems like a lot, but sometimes students are like, that's so much. You want it all, okay? So at the last bout before we cut off, I said you could wear gloves. Notice I'm not wearing gloves because it's literally, we'll lose half the cinnamon sugar mixture. This is going to be baked. I don't have any cuts, I don't have any sores, so I don't need to wear gloves because I'm baking this, all right? If you think it's better to wear gloves, then wear gloves, but it's not required, okay? So I'm gonna get all this here, and now I'm going to roll it up. I left about an inch at the edge, so I like to roll towards myself to get nice and tight swirl. So if you look at my fingers, okay, on my thumbs, I'm going to roll in and then I tuck, roll and tuck, roll and tuck. And I like doing it towards myself so I can kind of watch it. And then I go back through, okay. If it seems limp on one side, then you kind of roll that a little bit more. So I'm gonna keep rolling and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm done rolling it out. You can see it's nice and you can see the edges are just like so. And now we're going to cut it and place it into our pan, okay? So you are cutting this into, I like to kind of push it together so they're nice thick rolls. You're gonna do 16. 16, not 12, not like 13 and push it together. You are doing 16. So you're going to divide it in half. You have 2. Now divide it in half. You have 4. Okay? You see where we're going with the pattern. Divide it in half. Now we have 8. Okay? And then you're going to divide it in half and you're going to have 16. Okay? So in half like so, like this. And notice I'm doing this very quickly. You can see that each cinnamon roll is about an inch. These are going to double in size and they're nice and big. People like our cinnamon rolls because they're very similar to Cinnabon and they're nice and large, so they're getting a great deal. Okay? Now we're gonna place it into our pan. This is very important also. So the edges, you want them pretty side up, okay? You're gonna put 4 by 4 and you are going 4 by, yeah, 4 by 4. These you're gonna press, okay? Just like so. I'm gonna finish putting these in and I'll show you what it looks like when we okay, so I'm gonna correct what I said. I did 3 by 4, and then the last row is gonna, or 3 by 4, so, and then the last row has 4 in it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then the last row is gonna have 4. So you have 16 total in here, and you're gonna press it out. So with this now, we're gonna plastic wrap this, and we're going to either put them in the refrigerator or freeze them. And then I'm going to bake them, show you what they look like, and we'll make our glaze. You may or may not be making the glaze depending on how it's assigned, but I'm gonna show you how to make the glaze and then put it on the cinnamon rolls. So first off, I am not making a large batch. You will be making a large batch, and you will be using your kitchen mixer, or maybe 2 kitchen mixers, it depends. I'm making a small amount for just one individual batch. You'll be making enough for all 6. All right, so first thing you're going to do is you are going to put your butter and your cream cheese into the mixer. So mine is obviously, like I said, scaled down. So I'm not even gonna go through amounts for you because this is not what you're essentially going to be measuring. But you wanna make sure, so that we start off by combining the cream cheese and the butter first, because that's obviously the base of our mixture. I'm gonna use a paddle attachment. You could also use a whisk if you want. Lock it in place, and I'm gonna start at 4, and we'll be right back. All right, so we are back, and my butter and my cream cheese are mixed. I'm gonna put this right on the top because I'm gonna start adding in my powdered sugar. So my powdered sugar, is going to melt in to this mixture. So this is a very soft, meltable glaze. So it's gonna melt all together. It's gonna go on warm cinnamon rolls. So you really just wanna make sure this is well combined. And the powdered sugar, not granulated, is a great sugar for this, okay? So I'm just putting all of that in slowly, not too slow. When we say slow, we don't want it to take you an hour, okay? And then just wipe down your area. You can see it's all getting combined, and then we're gonna add our 2 liquid ingredients. The first one is our vanilla. This just has a nice aftertaste of vanilla at the end. This is my garbage bowl. And then you're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice, and this just preserves the frosting glaze, and it also gives it a little acidity to break down on the sweetness of all that sugar in the cinnamon rolls, okay? So I'm just gonna finish it off here. Okay, so you are going to, when this is done, you are going to put this into baggies. So like I said, you're gonna be making a large, big amount. So you're gonna be dividing it into 6 baggies, 1 for each batch, and it just makes it much easier when the students are gonna be frosting them right before Javaccino. So I have my garbage bowl. So just give it, you're gonna divide it into the 6 bags. I'm not going to put it in a bag because I already baked my cinnamon roll, so I'm gonna show you what this is gonna look like. All right, so we are back, and my cinnamon rolls, aren't they so beautiful? They came out of the oven. So you would be cutting a little hole in the corner of your bagging, kind of putting a little on each one. I am just going to take this whole amount and spread it on, and these are hot, so we'll put them on nice and warm, and then this will melt right onto there. So if you see like a chunk of something, not that we want it to be nice and smooth, but it will melt. So you're gonna make sure you smooth them all out just like so. Now as this is happening, if you look to my right, you can see that I put out my Javaccino bags or boxes. And the reason one person will be putting all the frosting on, and the other person or people are gonna be taking your boxes and spreading them out so that they're ready for assembly. Okay, don't do one at a time. You wanna do this pretty quick. Okay, time is of the essence. So it's really important that each cinnamon roll gets a good amount. Okay, just so it's not dry, and obviously this is, to most people, this is the best one. All right, so what's nice about the way we do this is you can lift this up like so. See how, okay? And then you pull this apart, and if you have multiple people and you're wearing gloves, notice I'm wearing gloves now, you are going to put them right into here so you can kind of separate them just like so, and then set them right into here, and you're just gonna keep going, okay? Now, if you feel like it's too hot for you, then obviously you can use a spatula, okay? And then a new partner at this point will close your boxes. So I'm just gonna wipe mine, because one of our biggest pet peeves is that your hands are dirty and then you close this and then it looks like you're selling this at a, you know, the side of the road, and you don't want that, okay? So you put these two down first, this one here, and then close. We may have you put a sticker or something on there, and then you'll keep these warm in an insulated carrier or wherever your teacher designates you to put them. Enjoy!